All right, welcome to Lights Camera Barstool. Today we are reviewing, as you can tell, great picture, one of the best of the summer, arguably the best blockbuster in theaters of the year until Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. But let me tell you something, we're talking about Twisters.
Yes, sir.
One of the funnest movies of the year, one of the dumbest movies of the year. But those two things not mutually exclusive. And I see, as you get, you might or may not be able to see on Gooch's screen, he identifies as Twister 40X Survivor. People are going into Twister and coming out changed people.
I didn't actually do 40X, but the fact that like people are seeking out is incredible. We had real tornadoes last week, so technically I'm like 5DX.
Yeah, you are a multiple survivor. But before we get to Twisters, let's talk about just a few news items, nothing crazy. First of which being the trailer for A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic that James Mangold is directing. James Mangold, obviously no stranger to this, did Walk the Line, which is one of the best musical biopics of maybe all time. Chalamet, Elle Fanning, Edward Norton's playing Pete Seeger, Boyd Holbrook's playing Johnny Cash. That's a weird one. That's where I'm like, I don't totally see that, but
he's too handsome.
I trust the vision. I trust the vision on that. Film is about the controversy surrounding the switch to electrically amplified instrumentation by Bob Dylan, which doesn't sound like a thrilling plot line, but I mean, it's Bob Dylan. He's an interesting cat. He's also producer on the movie. Trailer looks fine. I'm glad Chalamet's getting to do some weird shit. I think he needs that.
Yeah, I'm kind of out on this. I mean, like,
are you a Bob Dylan guy? I think that's
no,
a better.
I'm not. I'm not a Bob Dylan guy at all.
Mind.
Like, I respect him as like a songwriter. Like, you look at like any folk song or like a lot of just any like music from the 70s, 80s, like original writer, like Bob Dylan, which is incredible. Like, his output was insane, but as a singer, performer, it just didn't do it for me. Didn't do it for me at all. Cool aesthetic, I guess. Like, but I don't know.
It's just not my cup of tea, which I don't think that's a bad thing or a good thing. But that could be the case, and you still respect his craft, which is, I think, where both of us are at.
Yeah, I see this as a really strange pick for Chalamet at where he's at in his career, because he's been very consistent at like picking. I mean, outside of Wonka, he's picked very interesting stuff, and even then, Wonka is kind of like an interesting pick if you're going to do something big franchisey. This just feels like something built for an actor lesser than him. I'll just be honest. Like, it feels very beneath him to be doing the Christmas time release biopic.
I think this is something though that he could definitely get good award recognition out of it. Like the same thing with like Joaquin Phoenix when he's doing Cash. It actually would have been fun. That is weird how Mangold's doing both of these. He did Cash, Walk the Line, and now he's going to have a different actor playing Cash in this.
Ford, I mean, it's not a musical biopic, but Ford v Ferrari, it was essentially a biopic.
Yeah. I'm a Mangold guy. I don't know what I could say. If they feel like, and Johnny Cash, Johnny Cash, I think I liked way more as a musical artist than Bob Dylan. So I found that more interesting. The last thing I saw from Bob Dylan, they did a really interesting documentary on the, what was it? Not Band-Aid. What was that? They did like the big Christmas song, like the We Are the World, that song.
Yeah.
Like they did a whole documentary on that, and like Bob Dylan was just like not happy to be there whatsoever. Like just being surrounded in this really dense crowd of all of these people, just not feeling it.
Hey, keep that Michael guy the fuck away from me.
Yeah, that was a good documentary though. I highly recommend that to anybody. But that's A Complete Unknown. We had the Joker 2 trailer. Obviously, Todd Phillips come back, Joaquin Phoenix back, Lady Gaga, Zazie Beetz come back, Brendan Gleeson, Catherine Keener, Steve Coogan. After murdering Murray Franklin live on television, Arthur Fleck is incarcerated at Arkham State, where he meets musical therapist Lee. The two fall madly in love and experience musical madness throughout their shared delusions, while Fleck's followers start a movement to free him from Arkham, ultimately giving rise to the clown prince of crime's criminal empire. It looks good. It looks really good. And it is like very much like the last movie where it's like a boom or bust thing, and you feel more on the side of boom, but also for me, I think, and I'm not sure I forget how you felt about this. The first Joker movie was a very good movie. It was not like a world-endingly crazy thing that people made it out to be. I think it was like just anchored by an insanely good Joaquin Phoenix performance. Everything else around it was like just okay. Like
I even think like even outside the performance, it was excellent. Like it from a technical standpoint, that is an excellent movie. Like it is shot beautifully. The score is great. and the direction's fantastic from the guy who directed The Hangover, no less. But it's just so derivative of other things that came before it, and it's just like I don't really want. It's just like something I don't want. It was something I did not want. This, however, I fucking love a musical. I love a jukebox musical. This just looks like fun. This looks awesome. Like something they can do. They can do something different here, rather than the last movie, it just being a ripoff of King of Comedy and King of Comedy. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
I was thinking King of New York, and I had that mixed up in my head. And Taxi Driver. This I think will be awesome, original. Lady Gaga, put her at the top of my best actress watch list. Put her at the top. This is if she doesn't get it here, she'll never get it.
I still, to this day, and I don't think it's a hot take, but I don't think it's a popular one. I don't think she was that great in A Star Is Born. I think there are a lot of scenes in that movie where she's like she's an obviously all-time singer, great. All the singing sequences in that, she knocks it out of the park. But as an actor, and like those scenes, I never felt like she was particularly great. Like there's that one scene where she's like washing off what the fuck is his name, Jackson Maine, in like the tub Jackson or whatever, Maine. And she's like, "You hurt me, Jackson. Don't hurt me again." And it's like, that's not great. And like that stuff, I think is a little bit like not. I don't know. No, I don't think it's up to that same level of like Oscar hype or whatever. But again, the singing is just a whole different category. Like all that stuff was knocking it out of the park, and that's obviously a huge part of this too, and being freaky as fuck. But then also when you think about it this way, she has to now follow up like one of the I would say out of at least of all the DC superheroes for sure, probably like the best cast of the DC superheroes. Like as far as Margot Robbie has been for the character of Harley Quinn, so that's tough.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know what the expectations from the fans are for a Harley Quinn character outside of just being horned up.
Yeah,
I think that is like the baseline for DC fans. Like the average DC fan just wants Harley to be hot. Which Lady Gaga with that dirty blonde hair. Let me tell you what. She's never looked better.
Yeah, no, not gonna have a lot of complaints here. But yeah, it looks good. Excited for it. DC needs more movies like this, more things that are like outside of that main verse, at least until we get like the main DC, like actual DC rolling.
Was Gaga's last thing, was it House of Gucci?
Yeah, probably. Also not a great actor.
She thought she was just Italian. I love that. I love when she was on her press tour. Austin Butler got all the shit for that, but she also did that, where she was like just acting like she had an Italian accent for a while.
What was the line where it's like father, son, House of Gucci or something?
Yeah.
That was not.
Have you ever seen the Nicole Kidman AMC intro edit where someone edited it so like when it cuts to the screen that she's watching, it's just her getting railed to that opera music? House of Gucci, it's so funny.
Not seen that. I did. Did you see that? We didn't have this on the news docket, but Nicole Kidman is going to be in another erotic thriller with a different cast member of Iron Claw.
Yep, dude. Who's next? Is it going to be? It's got to be Jeremy Allen White. Yeah.
The other guy. I don't even know who the other guy was. He's screwed. No way he's getting it next. It's Jeremy Allen White's turn.
Yeah. No, that's hilarious.
They're fucking running train on Nicole Kidman while fucking Cuck Keith Urban is sitting in the chair, just crying his eyes out.
I mean, Nicole Kidman, beautiful woman, but she also has done so much work to her face that she does look like just an absolute cougar living in the Hollywood Hills who would be hooking up with 30-year-old men. Like, it is a perfect casting for her.
She's gotten, I feel like she's almost like in the zone of like Adam Sandler, where like I'm thinking of like all the movies I've seen her in recently. She always is fucking the hottest dude. Like Alexander Skarsgård in The Northman. Like she's dude. And I know it's like her son. She somehow is fucking her son. Her son's like one of the hottest dudes in Hollywood.
That's true.
And what do you call it? Aquaman. She's fucking Tamora Morrison. Not ugly, not young though. But Tamora Morrison's a good looking dude. Let's see, filmography. She just like specifically casting herself in movies where she gets to bang the hottest dudes. I respect that. The inverse Adam Sandler. Let's see, A Family Affair, which is the one where she was just banging Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Before that, Aquaman. Before that, The Northman. Fucking obviously, what's his name? Alexander Skarsgård. Being the Ricardos. Not young, but Javier Bardem, hot dude. The Prom. Oh, I forgot about how bad that movie was. Do you remember that? The
Prom
Ryan
is the
Murphy
one
prom
with,
movie with Steve Corden?
Yeah, and yeah, I remember. Who else is in that? Looking it up now.
Corden,
Keegan
her,
Michael Key. Yeah.
Meryl Streep. Ugh.
Whoa, what a poopy movie.
Yeah.
Bombshell.
Bombshell, she was, I want to say, reluctantly. That was a whole different type of scene, though. Goldfinch, I don't remember exactly, but she, what's his name's mom, or I think. I don't know. Either way, we're on a stretch now where she's banging the younger guy, and I think maybe some of the shows too she was in recently was maybe a thing too, if I'm remembering correctly. And again, respect that. So, but after that, we have the director's cut of Rebel Moon coming out.
I couldn't tell when you tweeted out the other day that it looks great. Was that a joke?
I didn't tweet it out. It looks great.
I thought you did.
Just go pull up the tweet again. And this is
my reading comprehension.
No. It's fine because it's a purposeful trick. And it's an intended trick. I'm very curious to see when you read it now how what your reaction is.
All right, going to your timeline.
Because a lot of people I saw also made that same mistake you did.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie. This looks.
No, read it again.
I'm gonna lie. This looks fire emoji.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah, it got you.
It got me. I've been got.
It looks like ass. I mean, I don't get it. If you want to talk about derivative, Rebel Moon is just derivative of every fucking sci-fi movie made in the last 40 years. Just a pointless exercise. Just again, we talked about it before.
This one reminds me of a couple movies that came out, I think last year. Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2.
Very similar. The what do you call it? Part 2 I almost forgot about too. And but yeah, these movies have just been stinky. Slow motion farming sequences for like 20 minutes. Just so stupid, ridiculously dumb movie, and I don't get it. And obviously we've interviewed Zack Snyder, nice guy. Just I feel
very
like
nice.
He needs to rid himself of yes men in his camp. He needs someone there, and I don't know maybe who was there in some of those earlier movies. Like he needs someone there to just be like, don't do that. This is not a good idea. Or like maybe just a different editor. Because like stylistically, he gets a lot of shit. Like he gets it. You know what I mean? Like he does the right thing sometimes.
Yeah.
And I just think he needs someone in the editing room or somebody to just tell him like, hey, you don't need to do this in slow-mo. You don't need to do this shot this way. You don't need this. You could shoot this scene on location. You could do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people. He's one of those guys.
He needs a guy to just protect the saturation button.
Yes, exactly. just like
keep Zach away from it. Like a whole guy on the sideline.
When a nuke goes off, like they need the two guys to turn the keys. He needs like another guy with a key for the saturation button. You know what I mean?
No, Zach, not hallelujah. No.
Yeah. No, you can't do it again, Zach. He needs one of those guys.
I kind of want him to just make a director's cut. Start making director's cuts of the director's cuts, or like split it up into like a mini series. I want this to become a Russian nesting doll situation where it's like, how deep can we go?
They were originally going to do that with, I believe Snyder cut, right? They're going to cut it up into 4 episodes, and then they changed their mind.
I think they couldn't because of like some legal issue.
Yeah, that would have been better, I think.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's Rebel Moon. Big time poop noise. And then lastly, let's talk about some motherfucking twisters, baby. Let's motherfucking.
I said, if you feel it,
chase it. Fucking Glen Powell, man. He's just the goddamn best. Let's talk about Twisters. Lee Isaac Chung directed. Looks like a pseudo reboot sequel of the original movie. They make a couple references to the original movie, not a ton. Daisy Edgar-Jones, Glen Powell, Anthony Ramos, David Cornsweet, who's obviously the new Superman, was a very small role in this, which is
very clearly took this role before he knew he was going to be the boy in blue.
Yes. It reminded me of the Tim Robinson sweat or skate, like My Rate. Like his rate, this like 5 days after he got cast in that, his rate went way up.
Yeah.
But yeah, retired tornado chaser and meteorologist is persuaded to return to Oklahoma to work with a new team and new technologies. So Twisters, this is a movie where I think that it is, and I said as much in my like whatever Twitter, TikTok reviews and all that. This is a ridiculously dumb movie. super, very, very stupid. It's a bunch of people trying to kill tornadoes by driving into them and releasing barrels filled with ground up diapers until the tornado dies. It's dumb. It's stupid. Everything about it is like Daisy Edgar-Jones is like floating in and out of an English accent from like in between English, standard American, and Southern all the time. Like Glen Powell is like this like YouTube like idiot guy that is also like a genius level like top tier meteorologist, like physicist too. Like everything about this movie is so dumb and it is so fun, and that I don't care. It is the perfect summer blockbuster because you don't need to think. You just need to watch. You just need to watch and have fun. Great soundtrack, great time. Loved it. Had a great time with this movie.
The soundtrack ruled. I was a little nervous going in because I'll be honest, I listen to country music, but like not what's on the radio usually. And there was a lot of like radio guys on there. I won't say who because, you know, we're pretty close with a lot of those people on that soundtrack, to be honest. So I was like a little nervous, not a huge fan of those people. And then the soundtrack, they just crushed it. They crushed
that
it.
Oklahoma song, man.
Oh, absolute heater. The Miranda Lambert song, so good. God, all of them when the twin twisters go, so good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, top to bottom, that set the mood for me. Right off the bat, by the way, the opening sequence, just great. We'll go ahead and I'm sure most people have seen it if they're listening to the review. Little spoiler talk. The opening sequence, they pulled a Scream. They pulled a Scream, which was awesome. Did not see that coming. I was like, wait, Kiernan Shipka's in this fucking movie?
Yeah.
Like, there was a few people in that car with him that were, like, just kind of somewhat notable actors, like people you'll recognize. So I was like, holy shit, I didn't realize all these people were in this movie. 10 minutes later, they're all dead. They're all dead. Absolutely flipped the script on me. That got me going. I saw someone say it takes forever to get going. What the fuck are you talking about? It's
multiple tornado deaths within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Like she like legit, there was by the way, like a 8-year-old next to me, like a 7 or 8-year-old next to me. Don't know what that family was thinking. He was scared shitless throughout the movie. And Daisy Edgar-Jones gets like her leg almost chopped off like 3 minutes in. That was awesome. Glen Powell, I think is officially in that. People keep saying Tom Cruise. I think it's Matthew McConaughey.
Way closer to Matthew McConaughey.
Could be like a himbo, but then in like stuff like Sahara or Interstellar, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, like I'm a farmer, I'm a treasure hunter, but I'm also like a historian, a super scientist, like
the perfect engineer. Man.
Yeah, like, and he pulls it off. That's the thing. You're like, sure, why not? Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's probably the high school quarterback and the homecoming king too.
Yep, right? Exactly.
It just works. The only real weak spot I could find in the movie, or two weak spots, was like, I think the Anthony Ramos character, that whole subplot fucking stunk. Like,
big
just
time.
Kind of did not need, it really didn't need to be there. Don't really know what the purpose was.
Dude, and the antagonist of the movie, you meet for 2 seconds in a diner, never see him again.
Official Riggsy?
Yeah, Officer Riggsy or whatever, Marshall Riggsy.
Riggs.
Marshall Riggsy, you mean it for 2 fucking seconds, no resolution, no nothing. You see, and the only thing you know is like it's a bad guy because he's buying up the land in the tornado, and it's like, oh, that sucks, and then you never see him again.
Can't believe you do this to our people.
Yeah.
Also, very funny when she. I'm getting so sidetracked. I'm sorry. When she's in New York for like 2 minutes. And she still obviously has like a very thick, or at least she's trying to put on a very thick country accent. And she gets back to Oklahoma, still has the country accent. And she starts talking to Glen Powell. Glen Powell is just like, oh, New York City girl. Yeah. Like he like not apparently just not picking up on the fact that she's not from New York City, even though she just sounds like she's from the plains. Like,
dude, she was floating in and out of the accent though, because she'd be talking to one person, right? And she'd be like, hey, hi, how are you? And then like someone will come around the corner and she'd be like, well, where did you come from? What's going on, High Plains Drifter? And like 2 seconds later, you'd hear like hints of English accent coming out too. It was floating.
Yeah, I don't really understand the thinking behind casting her there. She's obviously gorgeous. But yeah, that's just like instead? It's just an English person. English people struggle with Southern accents. That's a real spot they struggle in. If you need proof, go watch that Netflix movie with Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland. Their heads are spinning throughout that movie. trying to put on a country accent.
Trying to think of who would be a good, like an American actress that would be good for this. That's like around that age. Like she's like probably like what, like late 20s, I would imagine.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good
Would be
question.
in that zone. Yeah, because I can't think of a lot of Americans that would be good for that. There's a lot of like Australians, because Australia just pumps out like all of the most attractive human beings on the planet. I'm not sure. I don't know. That would take more thought.
They should have cast Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga in that too.
Yeah, she could do her own song.
Oh my! She would actually probably make a great country song. I could see it happening.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's kind of. There's a few country songs on A Star Is Born.
Yeah. One thing to note, and I like that you brought it up too, was that in that beginning sequence, one of the things I thought was really cool was that whole like dynamic she had with her crew reminded me a lot of the original Twisters. But they kind of like that felt like more like a homage to the original, and there were a lot of scenes like that throughout this, where it's like, hey, a little toss back to the original. Which, by the way, I rewatched before ahead of this. I mean, look, I watched Twisters originally as a kid. I thought it was like one of the greatest movies I'd ever seen. I watched it again as an adult. It's solid. It's not as good as I had in my brain. Like nostalgia had altered it, like rose-colored glasses, whatever. Not as good as I remembered it. But this one, it gives you a lot of those throwbacks, and I love that. And then they kind of like move on and do their own thing, which I appreciate a lot too. But also to note, I think the guy that was playing her boyfriend in that opening sequence, no one had a more dead guy face than I've ever seen in a movie. You take one look at that forgettable ass face, and you're like, oh, you're dead. So like that. Did you watch this last episode of like Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Like that guy, the guy. Not to spoil it. Like there's a guy that dies. You take a look at this guy, and you're like, that guy's dead. No one has ever been more dead. He was dead the minute he was born. Like that was
when she called on him to try and ride that dragon. He was like,
yeah.
You could see like me.
It's like, brother, nobody's ever been more dead. But there's a couple of people like that. But yeah, I think I like that a lot. A lot of the original stuff I think they did was cool. Like the tornado chasing, like I guess, and someone was talking about this. They had like based the Glen Powell character off of a real tornado chaser who did like, he has a truck with that thing, like that digs in the augers that like dig into the ground and all that shit.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
And, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. I think the trucks were cool. The chase sequences were awesome. And I think that the tornadoes themselves, like all of the shit, it looked like pretty fucking real. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like effects go, like I think they look great. And again, maybe this is just relative to having just watched Twisters, where the tornadoes look pretty fucking bad. But
yeah, man, I really need people to go back and rewatch that one.
Dude, they have humongous. And I said that in like the, what do you call it? The things we've been watching, whatever, for like that graphic. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh my God, you said this about Twisters. I'm like, you got to rewatch. You got to rewatch it like now. And then you'll understand what we're saying.
People are like Philip Seymour Hoffman. He has like 10 lines in the movie.
Dude,
he
not
has
even.
like maybe.
That's going to be like people, like if we were to go back and they'd be like, oh, but David Cornsweet. Like Cornsweet has 5 lines in this movie. Yeah. He's not really like a player in this.
I'll tell you what. Brendan Perea was fucking awesome.
Yeah, movie. that was Glen Powell's dude, right?
Yeah. He was in Nope before this, and he fucking crushed it as like the buddy. That whole team did too. I didn't know what's her face from Love Lies Bleeding was in there too, looking jacked as hell as always. All those characters were so tropey and so like.
But that's great. That's like a good tribute again to the original, I think.
Yeah, I loved it. One thing I will say, the original did better, and I miss it. And it's not really did better as much as like. This is just where Hollywood's at now. It had that 90s feel where it's like, these actors also look like they could be my next door neighbor. Like, that is a big thing I think Hollywood is missing now, especially this movie where everyone is so polished and so pretty. And like, no offense to Glenn, he's a very handsome man, but almost too handsome. Daisy has the same issue.
It's like two sides of the coin, right? Where it's like they're either way too attractive or they're way too like bizarro looking.
Yeah.
To be a neighbor. You know what I
mean? But yeah, like Bill Paxton. I grew up next to Bill Paxton.
I think we all grew up to like multiple Bill Paxtons.
Yeah, no. I to be clear, I do not hate the original or like think it's a bad movie. I just think it does not hold up the way people think it does. Mm-hmm. And this one probably 20, 30 years from now, it won't either. But right now, fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. That last sequence, by the way, had Steven Spielberg's fingerprints all over it when the back of the theater rips out and it just shows all the massive twister coming at them. Yeah, that was incredible. Theater gasped at that.
It's still so fucking funny. They shot diapers into a fucking storm to
You know what that
kill it.
reminds me of? You remember that episode of Jimmy Neutron where there was like an ice age?
Yeah,
He gets like a
yeah.
big thing of deodorant. He sprays it at the ozone.
Holy shit, dude! It's so stupid, but that's like again what makes it so perfect. I mean, this whole time I'm trying to like find another actress. Like, would Haley Steinfeld have been good for this?
Haley Steinfeld. Well, she's again almost too pretty, but yeah, Haley Steinfeld probably a good pick.
Zendaya?
Nah.
Maybe like even Haley Steinfeld. Even like I don't know if she can do like Southern or like even like Zendaya. I think it was too polished as well. Elle Fanning, that might be good.
Maybe.
You're just talking about her for whatever that movie was. Yeah, no. So Twisters. I think some other scenes that like stood out. I think that ending sequence in the movie theater. Yeah, like you're mentioning, super Spielberg-y, super sick. I think the whole sequence when they're at like the bull riding thing.
Yeah, the rodeo
just, like,
was
exposition
awesome.
dump. Yeah, that part was.
With his, by the way, do you know that you see his parents behind him?
The Glen Powell's parents?
Yeah, Glen Powell's parents were sitting behind them in the stands.
Oh, that's great.
And then there was another cameo in that scene. Remember the guy and his girlfriend trying to get.
That was Paxton's kid, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And then they drive straight into the storm. And the truck gets lifted straight up. It's
fucking cool. That whole sequence I thought was super cool though. Like the tornado in the dark scene was like just looking at that was awesome. Like especially because like can't really see it, and then, like lightning streaks across the side, and like it just lights up and you see the funnel, and like, it looks awesome. Trying to think of some other sequences that stood out. Like some of the original, or some of the scenes where like they just go into like the smaller tornadoes. I thought were cool. Where like he's launching like the fireworks into it and all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think I liked a lot of it. The mom, by the way, the mom, like Daisy Edgar-Jones' mom in that movie.
Yeah.
That is a character I don't even want to know her name, the actress's name. She's just like the perfect mom character. Because every time I see a movie, she'll show up as a mom, and I'm like, that lady. And like I don't want to remember her name at all because I just like prefer her living in that space. But I think she was really good. Their house was cool. Like all the on location shooting shit was sick. Loved a lot of it, and I hope that this kind of leads us into a era of more disaster movies. And I just realized, just as we said we were going to do a draft of disaster movies. So, but we obviously didn't prep for that. But maybe we can go and look at a list.
We can do 3 rounds.
Yeah.
We can do 3 rounds. Wait, let me pull it up. Because I think we do have it logged in.
Into movie rankings?
We have it a little bit, I'm pretty sure.
I think we have it under like subgenre?
Yeah.
Yeah. Disaster and apocalypse. Okay, so that there is a big difference between disaster and apocalypse, though. So, because like I wouldn't count apocalypse movies underneath this, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a disaster movie when you see it. It's got a lot of spectacle to it.
Exactly. Let's see, and like obviously like you could consider like a Day After Tomorrow like an apocalypse movie because it's like fucking annihilating the planet, but like
that's a disaster movie.
It's a disaster, exactly.
That's a weather phenomenon. How about we say that? Weather phenomenon movies.
Yes, weather phenomenon movies. Let's see. Oh no, some of these are no good. Like Armageddon. Armageddon's not a disaster movie in my opinion.
No.
Like neither is Deep Impact, and I know this is all like it's like a quote unquote like natural thing. Like that's not
actually way less of these than I thought.
Significantly less. How about we just talk about the ones that we do like?
I just pulled up this article from Vulture, and it's already fucking wrong because they have 2012 as the worst one of all time.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Not a good movie, but not the worst disaster movie. Not by a long shot.
Okay, so they have like the Poseidon Adventure up here. Yeah, for sure. But that's like Rogue Wave isn't as like scary to me as like most of them. I would say Twister is definitely up there as one of my.
I would too.
I would say Twisters. I would say there was there was like twin movies for volcanoes, right? It was Volcano and Saint. What's that?
The Core? Was that one of them?
No, The Core isn't a volcano movie. That's the one where they dig into the core of the Earth to like fix the magnetic sphere by nuking it.
See, this is why Twisters knew exactly what to do. It's like, yes, the solution to all of our problems is going to be dumber than fuck.
Okay, so it's Volcano and Dante's Peak. So I don't remember which one did this, but there was a scene in one of them where they're in like the lava is slowly encroaching in like a subway like station.
Oh,
And there's
I
this
like
guy
that.
carrying like a hurt person at the end of the car, and he can't get the hurt person to the rescuers. So he like jumps into the lava. I think it's John Carroll Lynch, and he like throws the person while he's melting in the lava. So whichever movie that one is, that's the better volcano movie in my opinion. Volcano. Let's see. Subway scene. Is that Dante's Peak? It was Volcano. Okay, so Volcano I think is better than Dante's Peak. I would put Day After Tomorrow, I think, is way up there. That's one, I don't know why, and I don't know if this is the same for you. I watched this in school a bunch.
I never watched it in school, but I watched it a ton. I had it on DVD. It was like one of the first DVDs we owned as a family, and I wore that thing out. I loved it. The CGI wolves included. It was awesome.
So, like, and I'm trying to remember everything from that one. That one is
Dennis Quaid and Jake G.
I remember the cast. I'm trying to think of like the order of the disasters because it was like the giant mega storms.
Yeah, it starts with like the winds in like Scotland or something, right?
Yeah, there's like a base in Scotland where like they're measuring it, and then like the giant wave destroys New York City and then freezes it.
Yes.
And then you have to burn all the books in the library to keep warm.
Of course.
And then there was another part of that disaster that I'm missing. There's like
the big boats like drifting into the city too. That was awesome.
Yeah. I'll put that up there. I would put, let's see, The Wave. No, I don't think I've seen that. 2012, I think, is actually a pretty awesome disaster movie.
Yeah, it's stupid as fuck at the end, but like they all are. Like, don't they get on like Noah's Ark basically? They have like a bunch of rich people with arks.
The Russian guy, yeah.
Yeah. So stupid. But like I remember the parts in like India were cool. They went all over the world in that one, which I really liked.
They like take off while there's like an earthquake happening and that like the runway goes down, right?
Yes.
Like they're on a plane. Just like that's one of those movies where like, and I think this happens actually to a few movies where I'm like, this would probably be better if it wasn't John Cusack.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's just not like in my brain, and sure I'll get some shit for this, but like he's not in my brain. He's never been like a leading man type of energy, at least not in a movie like that.
No, he's like at best leading man in High Fidelity. Like that's where that's his Q zone.
Yeah, exactly. The Contagion, I wouldn't consider part of a disaster movie.
But you know which one I would in terms of like those like kind of outbreak stuff? World War Z. Isn't
that like Apocalypse kind of?
Yeah, but it has so much more of a spectacle than like the other ones. If that
How
makes
about
sense.
San Andreas?
Absolutely one of them. But
I just mean like where would you put it?
I don't really care for that one.
Neither do I.
It's almost too ridiculous. It's almost like The Rock is. Yeah, I think it's just The Rock. Like, you got to put like an everyman in these.
How about
you have to put somebody in the situation that you'd be like, oh, this would be like how I would be. This is like
I feel safe with The Rock being in charge of that. Like, it needs to be someone who you don't like. Dennis Quaid, I don't feel safe with him being the one to rescue me. Yeah. I feel much more safe with The Rock. How about The Perfect Storm? I loved that movie growing up. George Clooney and all.
I haven't seen that one.
You never saw The Perfect Storm? Oh no. Man, they like go out in a boat to like.
Is Wahlberg like in that one too?
Yeah, it's like Clooney, Wahlberg, and let's see, a couple other people I think too. Clooney, Wahlberg, John Hawkes, William Fick. We pronounced his name wrong this whole time. William Fichtner, Diane Lane. Damn, that was good. That was a good ass movie. I remember watching that a bunch of times. John C. Reilly's another one that's missing on that. And let's see what else we got on the disaster movie list. Yeah, there really are a lot less that don't involve like a meteor than I thought. Because like these aren't really natural disaster. Maybe that's what we're looking for, more natural disaster movies than unnatural. But I guess a meteor is natural. I don't fucking know.
The people yearn to see the earth crumble.
Exactly. There's something.
This is, by the way, back to Twisters. Absolutely, this is just proof that like these like Hollywood and like Wall Street have no fucking idea what middle Americans are going to do, because they just showed up to this movie without like ever giving any indication to them that they were, because the projections for Twisters was like $40 million. It opens with 80 million, like doubles. Like that is insane. A complete double. I think pretty much made its budget back already. Obviously we'll have to still recoup marketing, and it'll probably have an uphill battle with Deadpool and Wolverine coming into theaters this week, but
for sure
it fucking crushed with middle of America. Which just goes to show like these, like these kind of movies have their place. Like they have their place, especially when you do them right.
Let's see. Twister's budget was $200 million. It is already at 130. Just
Is it 200?
Yeah, we're already at 130 in this.
I thought it was like an $80 million movie.
A little more.
So
I mean, again, the effects did look great.
Yeah, so looked fantastic. By the way, last thing on Twisters. How you feel about the ending? No kiss. They shot one.
That was a Spielberg note, right?
Yeah, they shot one. They took it out.
They shot in. Yeah, I saw a video of the shot.
Yeah,
of the kiss. I think it was better not to have it leave you wanting a little bit.
So do I. I see people like very upset about it, but I kind of liked it.
Yeah, like it's implied. It's heavily implied, and I feel like it's not like in the same zone as like a Rise of Skywalker or whatever, where it's like, where the fuck did this come from? But I feel like it's like this is better served with it not being anchored on a kiss. You know what I mean? Or anchored on that romance. It's more about like their cooperation to like beat the common enemy, and I think I like that better than I like it being a romantic thing.
Yeah, I also liked Paul Scheer showing up at the end.
Yeah, did you hear the story behind that?
Not really. I guess he was. I don't even remember him being in the first one, but apparently he was. Maybe it was a head full of hair, Paul Scheer, and I didn't recognize him.
Yeah. So the video I saw, and it's obviously a lie just because of timing wise. He's like, yeah, I was actually. There was a pregnant woman in one scene, and I was in my mom's stomach then. I'm like, you were not born in 1997. I think that is. But there was some sort of. I think there's a story behind it that he just wouldn't, or at least I didn't see the full story for. But I love that. Deadpool is obviously, you mentioned, is going to blow up the box, so it's already projecting to be like that.
Can you talk about it all? All right. So go ahead and give kind of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's projecting to be like the highest rated R movie so far. I think like ever released, which is amazing. But Deadpool for me, I'll give you like the quick pro and con list, and I did a blog on this earlier last night. So let me pull it up because it is definitely a movie where you like. I think the expectations for this are not going to be like quote unquote not going to be met because everyone with this thinks it's going to be a movie that like fixes Marvel. That was like the big like everyone was saying that, right? It's like this is the movie that changes, like it was resets. It's not that movie, and I don't think that it was ever intended to be.
I don't think that movie exists. I don't think you can make that movie.
If you consider Marvel to be like a very sick person, like this is like a shot of adrenaline. Like it's not a cure. It's just something that gets you back to like a sense of normal. So for my pros for this, super funny, super funny. And it is hysterical. And I think that like there's something, and I talked to Jeff about this too. There's like a little bit of concern where it's like the humor when you go and rewatch Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, it doesn't age great. And I don't mean like, oh, political correctness. I don't know. It's like just some of it's like the humor isn't as funny. Like when you're saying in Deadpool 1, like, oh, you like fuck nozzle douche turd, like that shit's just not funny really anymore. But the humor is definitely advanced past that. Like they change it as they go. And I think that maybe in like 5 years when you watch this one, you're probably not going to think it's as funny either. Because a lot of it is like just like the foundation of a lot of the humor is just like in this exact particular moment in Marvel. And there's a lot of references to stuff happening like right now. And so maybe that won't be as funny 5 years from now, but for now, it's very funny. And if that's the case, and it's just a temporary thing, that's fine because it's great, makes for a great blockbuster theater experience. Awesome theater experience. So definitely look forward to that. They didn't sanitize it, which is great. So everyone was worried about that with Disney. Like, oh my God, it's going to be like Deadpool's supposed to be R-rated, blah, blah. It's not sanitized. It's very R-rated. Very crude, lots of blood. More blood, honestly, than I think the other ones. Lots of cursing, sexual references, all that shit that you expect. The cameos, and we mentioned that to you, some of them. This I told you, they're incredible. Like people were freaking the fuck out, and they're not like Merple Blurpo like cameos where it's like, hey, here's this random comic book character that like you've never heard of.
It's not Charlize Theron showing up at the end of Doctor Strange 2.
Exactly. It's none of that. It's insider stuff for comic book movie fans that I think you guys will like. And I don't mean that again in the Merpo Blurpo sense. It's more like steeped in real life. And then some like other stuff, which people are really going to enjoy them, I think. And then the music's awesome. It's all like Madonna bangers. And it's really good shit. And then Hugh Jackman is like, their chemistry is obviously great. Like you've seen like all the clips of them, like in and out of like all the press tours and all that. Their chemistry is awesome. And there's like some heavy scenes in the movie, like a couple of them, nothing crazy. And like they're both like his scenes, and he crushes them. They're amazing. He's really, really good.
He's such a fascinating actor for that reason.
Yeah.
Like he's just been doing this character for almost 30 years, like coming up on 30 years now. Like, which is just admittedly like it's a comic book character. It's a ridiculous character. Like plays a fucking wolf man, but he's at the same time a musically gifted, just dramatically gifted actor, and can turn it on when he needs to. Like they make a lot of cracks. It is fascinating that he does this.
He makes a lot of cracks. Deadpool about the musical stuff too in it, which is very funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. At the only cons I had, like the CGI is definitely a little wonky at points, which has just been like a recurring theme for Marvel in general. But I think that in the case of Deadpool, it's such like an irreverent movie that like you don't really like I'd notice it, but I wouldn't care as much as if it was in like a more like quote unquote like serious Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Where it's like this is supposed to be like realistic and all that shit. It's not supposed to be goofy. Or not supposed to be like super funny or like just dumb, silly, fun time. It's more supposed to be like, hey, we're trying to establish a big thing here. We're supposed to put this thing together. Like, so you don't really care as much. And then the other con, like this is probably the best of the three antagonists in the three Marvel movies, but it's still like nothing great. And I don't think that really matters again, just because of the nature of the movie, but it's just something where it's like, they never really had a good Deadpool villain, and that's whatever.
I couldn't even tell you who the villain was in the second one. Or actually, can I tell you who the villain was? The first one was the guy who gave him cancer.
Yes. Wait, it didn't give him cancer. He tried to cure his cancer, but turned him into Deadpool. It was the fucking Dario Naharis guy.
Yeah.
Skeens.
Who was something it in the second one? It wasn't the kid. Oh, it was kind of Cable.
It was kind of Cable and kind of the kid and kind of Juggernaut.
Oh, yeah. What a weird... I might rewatch Deadpool 2 this week.
Yeah. It's a weird one.
I remember liking Deadpool 2 almost more than Deadpool 1 for some reason. Mainly because of Zazie Beetz being just cool as hell. But
Zazie Beetz sequences are sick.
These are my favorite movies. To be like, I don't hate them, but yeah, no. The humor ages very quickly. I always like them in theaters, and then like I'm like, I never want to rewatch this.
I said that in my review, which I posted. I said the humor has like a bit of an expiration date, right? Like a quicker expiration date. Nobody understood what that meant in the Instagram comments. That was so fucking funny. They're
like, expiration date. What do you mean?
What's an expiration date? I'm like the jokes, the humor, the efficacy of this humor has like an expiration date. Like it's not going to be as funny like a couple of years from now. Like right now, it's very, very, very funny. And like 5 years, it's just not going to hit as hard. But I still think it's very fun. Again, it's not a Marvel resetting movie. It does not right the ship or anything like that. It's just like it's its own thing. Very funny. Great time.
I'm pumped. I'm seeing it Thursday. Today's Wednesday. I'm seeing it tomorrow night. So yeah, no, I'm pumped.
There's one scene, and I wanted to know because like it was like me, Clem, and Robbie were at obviously like a press screening. So like some of the people were like amped up, like jazzed up, like we were like, oh, like when some shit happened. There's one big drop, probably around like halfway into the movie, and I want to see what your crowd's reaction is like to it in like the actual opening day with like regular fans, because like we had a couple people, like obviously some people are trying to stay like more like composed or whatever, the Richard Brody's and all them. But yeah, let me know what that
David Ehrlich lost his shit. I heard David Ehrlich shit his pants.
Pooped his pants, yeah. And by the way, they went all out for this. They gave us all commemorative Wolverine buckets, all that shit. That's crazy.
That was nuts. That's I don't know if I've ever seen any studio do that for a screening. Like and a not to be like bucket for everyone.
Not to be too inside baseball, but like sometimes at screeners, and even the big ones, the Disney ones, the Universal, all that shit. Like sometimes you'll get a small popcorn and a small drink. Like giving us a commemorative bucket, every single person that went. And there's like, we're in an IMAX theaters, like 100 people plus here. All of us have commemorative buckets, all of us large drink, all of us like all that shit. Like that's pretty fucking rare. And that was amazing. And they were also doing like the actual premiere, like right across the street at Lincoln Center with like the whole cast and crew and all that. I think you guys will enjoy it. I'm very excited to see some of the early reactions to it. I already see people trying to shit on it, like some of the critics being like, "Oh, well, it doesn't fix Marvel." Again, it's not that. Not meant to be that. Not going to be that. But you'll have fun with it. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Next week is obviously going to be Deadpool week. Maybe we'll get some other folks on to come and talk about that, and maybe we'll think of a good draft for that. One we'll do some prep for.
There we go.
All right, sweet. See you guys next week.
See you.